21-year-old Kirsty, okay? Salary was £11,500 a year, right? And the average house price was, I think we need this in red. Have a guess, Ali. What was the average house price in 1993?
About 59,000.
51.
Oh.
Yeah, 51K, okay? And in the present day, we adjust the 11,500, that's the salary, for inflation, and we get to 25,000. So it's roughly 25,000 salary. The young Kirsty Allsop now will be earning 25 grand, okay? But if we adjust the house price for inflation, we get the house price should be about 110,000, right? That would be all tickety-boo. The problem is this, that figure hasn't happened. This house price figure is not the figure. The actual figure, go on, Kate, you have a guess.
I'm going to say $250,000.
Yeah, you're bang on.
You know, one of the things that I like most about Rebel HQ is that we get to make good points really quickly with a little bit of humor versus other long-form essay videos or political coverage where we got to be a little bit, more in depth about stuff. But here we get to crack jokes about the fact that all these boomers, they somehow forget the decades and decades that they've been here, how things have gotten more expensive. It may be the Alzheimer's kicking in. It may be just that old age of them forgetting how much easier things used to be. I mean, and I talk about here all the time. Well, I don't know about all the time, but I mentioned several times about how my rent has gone up in a couple of apartments. The one I'm in now only went up by $50 this term, but the apartment I was in before went up by $200 2 years ago. I wonder where it's at now. I know it didn't reverse. I'm sure it went up again because it's a nice apartment. Again, the cost of living continues to rise, and boomers somehow forget that back when they were kids, back when they were in college, they could pay their way through by working at some diner on the corner somewhere.
This is the problem. Now, so Kirsty says, oh, why are they all whinging? Because back in the day I had 11 grand salary, 51 grand house. The average 21-year-old's wage now is lower than that. That's the other problem, okay? So instead of being 25, the average wage has gone down to 18.
We live in a country where education costs are completely through the roof, and not necessarily because the quality of the education is the best in the world. Good, but the better quality the education, the more expensive it's going to be. And a lot of the time you're just paying for the amenities on campus, the huge gyms they have, the pools, all the athletic facilities. That's really a lot of what you're paying for because those things cost so much money. And then, the Biden administration attempts to give a little bit of relief. We're not going to delete all of the debt. We're going to do some of it. And no, we can't have that. We got Republicans suing. We got people in the country saying somehow that's unfair to working people, even though a ton of working people have college debt. We live in a country where we can't even attempt to fix these issues. Infrastructure's falling apart. That would create millions of jobs. We live in a country where, corporate America really isn't interested in making conditions better. Quarter after quarter, corporate America is making record profits. How? When everybody's broke? Well, because they're arbitrarily raising their prices and screwing over their workers and buying back their own stocks and things along those lines.
So I said originally, the key number is this 4.4. Back in the day, 1993, it was 4 times the average salary. Now what is it? 14. That's the problem for our young people, that to buy a house they need 14 times their average salary, and it's not possible, Ali, is it?
No, it's hugely, it's a terrible situation.
And then all things somehow lead back to the red pill community and the manosphere, because they make arguments about why no one's having children these days. People aren't getting married. And of course it's because women just don't know how to act. Women are whores out here. They're sleeping with who they want, and they have their own money, and she's a whore because she won't sleep with me. Meanwhile, they somehow leave out the fact that everything's more expensive and people can't afford anything and how much money it costs to raise children. And the fact that people really just don't need to have as many kids as they used to. Like back in the day when people were popping kids out left and right because we lived in a more agrarian society and our healthcare and medicine wasn't nearly as good and life expectancy was lower and kids were dying all the time. That has changed. The Industrial Revolution changed the world, and so did women's access to, being able to make their own decisions and have some birth control, which, of course, Republicans are doing their best to reverse. So it's just hilarious how these things work. It's like the only way we can go back to a prosperous society is if we strip away everybody's rights and just go back to the 1950s. No, thank you.